Hey, what's going on here? What brought a bunch of New York's top chefs together in this kitchen on a busy Saturday afternoon? What is this, some kind of reunion or something? And who is this chef that they all came to see? On July the 7th, 1946, Chef Jean Jaques Rachou, then an 11-year-old orphan, began his career in the kitchens of the Hotel Regina, Toulouse, France. That he would rise to become one of the top chefs in New York City would surely be story enough, but it doesn't end there. Plainly stated, no one has been more responsible in training the first generation of great American chefs and restaurateurs than Jacques Rachou.
Who was in the kitchen with you at that time?
At that time, the morning shift, you had Rick Moonen, Charlie Palmer,
Xavier LaRue.
Greg Shelton came along,
Sure.
Gary Coyle,
Okay.
Frank Crispo, Joe Bowman.
Bruce Egdahl, Stephen Koff.
At night was Henry Meir, Todd English, myself.
Kind of an all-star team by today's standards.
I think it was a pretty good crew. We were a busy restaurant, and you know, Monsieur Rachou is the papa.
We were a bunch of half-wits, cooks, just passionate about wanting to cook and wanting to learn.
Jean Jaques would say to me, you know, you take the lamb and you make a choux. I'm like, a choux. And I didn't have the nerve to say, what's that, chef? You know, so I'm like, yes, chef. Oui, chef, you know. I'd go home and I'm looking through every book, Escapier, LaRue.
C-H-O-U.
I'm looking for a choux.
Back in that day, the Frenchmen didn't think we could work. So Stephen led the way. Well, actually, Chico was the first in the kitchen. And then Stephen came in myself. And when Jack realized that we don't mind working, you know, when we opened pretty much the floodgates for the rest of the crew.
You know, that was a big breakthrough for us. You know, young American guys coming to New York, working in basically the French mafia, you know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, well, that's what
you know,
it was.
and there was like a lot of French guys. Luckily, they all went on vacation for 6 or 8 weeks in the summer, so we got in there and we never left. So that,
Right.
He stood up for American cooks from the beginning, to his own ridicule. He was in the Vattel Club. And he would tell them, he's like, hey, you watch the American cooks. They are the best in the kitchen.
So it was a big controversy with Jean Jaques Rachou and the
French community that,
yes,
which was a lot of the other restaurants.
La Caravelle,
Right.
Grand Louis,
Right.
Chantilly,
Right.
Lutèce. You know, all the big guys were calling on the phone. How dare you? So it was quite a time.
Nobody was hiring American kids. You were the first chef, French chef, to give American kids a shot.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they were good to me. I was tough with them, but they get the classic cuisine, the principle, and they were very, 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 very willing to learn.
Somehow, he put together a team of young kids out of school, me being one of them, and had them just figure out how to be an organized team. Like if I lifted my arm up this way, Charlie Palmer would move his arm that way. We worked together on the line. It was total synchronization. And he loved us to the point where he would be laughing during the middle of the craziest services. You didn't get a chance to see these dupes. They would come flying in 10 at a time. And he would scream out, he would order like a maniac, and you had to just like get it out and organize yourself. It was a matter of survival.
Ordre one venaison, one riz de veau, one noisette, one d'aubergine, 3 canards, one carré, 2 basses, one poisson, one steak au pois millionnaire, after that ordre, one cassoulet, one casserole de vin corse, one steak au pois millionnaire.
Yes, sir.
This is from 1982. This is a book of every dish we did at Le Coq Bosco. I was so proud to be here, and I show this to all my cooks today, saying, when you work in a restaurant, it's very important to keep track of everything you do, because you never remember it after a period of time. And even to this day, I mean, you know, you're talking 18, 20 years later, I still refer back to this for sauces. I mean, souffle base. This has been great for me. It was the start of my career.
Another thing that we learned here at Le Coq Basque was the ingredients that we used were the finest that your hands could touch. The finest veal, the finest lamb. In the wintertime, when raspberries would be $25 a pint, you know, he would bring these things in because his guests demanded that. These guests were I mean, they were the wealthiest, the most influential people in America.
And I remember him coming in, I said, you know, chef, I want to bring to your attention that, you know, 2 flats of raspberries came in and they're $650 a piece. I said, do you want me to call up and send them back? He says, no. So I walked away kind of puzzled. And then I went back in the office. I said, can I ask you a question? Why would you pay $650 for raspberries? And he said, because no one else will. He says if they go to eat at Le Cirque tomorrow night, and then they come the following night to La Côte Basque, and they don't have raspberries at Le Cirque, they have them at La Côte Basque.
The talent that came out of the original La Côte Basque kitchen is just incredible. If you look at all the guys, like sprouted there and went on to do different things later on, it's just incredible. I mean, the success has been really phenomenal.
Jack helped you?
Very much so, yeah.
Patient guy, good guy to work with?
Patient guy, no, but that's all right. You know, I'm not either. I mean, he helped me just by giving me the job, you know, and seeing something there.
Remember Jean Lafont, Francois Soyer. I went in for my interview, and they say, oh, La Côte Basque. Hired. Didn't even ask me questions.
And a lot of it has to do with him, because not only did he teach us to cook, but he taught us the business. You know, he taught us, you know, you have to keep costs in line. You have to work hard, too.
Every penny counts, and that's where you make your money.
Yeah.
Because the cost of doing business is so high, between insurance, rent, labor, food costs.
It prepared all of us to have production experience, which is what his key to success was.
I always remember watching him in the kitchen from time to time. It was funny, and one of the things you'd always see him do was look in the garbage can. He was looking in the garbage can to see where his profit was.
We would get the loins of veal in, he'd take the kidneys out. He didn't care if we sold 2 kidneys with a nice mustard sauce. Somebody French or that had been French trained in a culinary sense would come in and always have a nice rosy carved kidney, and there he is rolling his fingers because he just found, it's like the bark of the dog. You know, he sold the bark of the dog.
I mean, he's really something. You know, a lot of people don't know that he's won a lot of awards for his garde-manger work.
Wow, Jack. I remember these Dutch shoes he used to make, little pointy shoes, and we used to make fondant potatoes that had the shape of shoes. And, you know, it was all about intricate little detail work. What he could do with his hands making with towel.
Amazing garde-manger, amazing, amazing.
One Saturday, he came down. We each got 3-pound box, and we started going. And I'm moving. I'm going as fast as I can. I'm fluting these mushrooms. And what I did and what he did were 2 totally different things. Mine were okay, but he did a pineapple cut on these mushrooms that I have absolutely no idea still to this day how to do that. So as much as I thought I was younger, I was faster, I was better looking, the whole bit, he could still beat me. And I'll tell you what, out of 250 million people in America, there's not a lot of people that can do these fluted mushrooms. And you know, when he retires, a lot of these things are going to go with him because nobody does them anymore. 1, because they're a lot of work, and 2, people don't have the patience to learn this stuff anymore.
This place is like the last place where you could really get to learn classical French cuisine. You know, those places are gone now. And with Jack, you learn the basics. You get to reinforce the basics.
One thing about a classic French training is that you really learn the correct way to work. How to work together, how to be organized, how to produce, just from A to Z.
You had worked in kitchens before you came to work with Jack. What was your experience?
No, it was my first time. I was 19 years old when I came in, and I started from the bottom. And with Jack, I learned most of what I know.
You know, you start right from the bottom. You making puff pastry, boning quail, you know, making the sauce, crushing the lobster bones, cleaning everything.
What you see a lot these days with a lot of the young chefs is they don't realize they're going to have to put in the kind of hours it takes to get somewhere.
I go to get a lot of guys out of CIA and stuff today, and they're automatically sous chefs. It's like, no, we have to earn that. We have to earn the right to be good cooks.
Here you did everything. You know, I still have a scar on a couple of fingers from whacking my fingers off trying to cut something faster because he needed it for service. Everybody's got a horror story about a Saturday night. Plates thrown all over the place, you know, dropped. That's what happens in the business.
Busy lunch, 300, 350, 350 covers. All of a sudden you hear the scream, and here comes the chef down the stairs with a tray like this, 4 chickens lined up on the tray. Down the stairs. You asshole, like this.
And he throws them. You know, I learned a new dish. It was cold duck. After that, you know, you learn. You don't serve. You know, you gotta make sure. You gotta check. You gotta touch. You gotta look. You gotta smell. You gotta really, you know, you gotta really work with the food. And I never served a medium rare chicken after that. And I never embarrassed them like that after that either. You know, things happen. But that's how you learn.
Quite honest, I think to this day, the front of the house is probably the best wait staff I've ever worked with. They understood what was going on in the kitchen because they've done it themselves. So there was a good rapport, front and back.
Tonight, good Saturday night before, you're going to do over 300 dinners here.
There should be about 300, yeah, over 300.
Smooth. Everything looks smooth out here. Not a problem, huh?
I try to do my best.
No, it looks good. And I see you've got a party of 40 at 11:15, huh?
40, 11:15, yes.
Oh, my God, huh? No problem.
Should be no problems.
Grab the telephone, that's you.
Jacques, good evening.
Oh, and did we mention that he's the last working chef of his generation? I mean, all the others have retired. Saltner, Sayak, Fezziget, Perrier in Philadelphia, and Blanchet in Chicago. They're all gone now, retired.
Yeah.
You're the last one going.
I'm the last of the Mohican.
Last of the Mohican, but it's a testimonial, and he still loves it. This guy's amazing. I mean, there's so much to learn from you with your energy, the passion. It's a great thing.
Yeah. It's like a sacerdoce, you know?
It's like a what?
Sacerdoce. Yeah, the passion.
I didn't understand a thing he was saying, but I was always watching what he was doing. I love it. I love it.
Jean Jaques was the only chef that made me cry. And I can say that with tears in my eyes and happiness because he really taught me the passion of why we are here today and why we work the hours that we do.
He's my mentor. He's right here. He's always going to be in my heart.
Best experience. 18 jobs, and it's the best experience yet.
Even though in today's world it's about business, I cook every night. I'm behind the line every night. I go out and talk to my customers. I learned that from Jean Jaques. It was something that I really, really learned.
The egg I made this morning was a little better, a little different than the one I made last week. And when I was making it, you say to yourself, that's a nice looking egg. And that's the love we have for food that our daddy showed us.
I was very lucky to work with Papa Rachou.
Chef, thank you. I will.
Ha! Classic French cuisine never dies, folks. Jacques Rachou, fantastic restaurant, and some of the stuff we can do at home. I mean, when I read his menu, I kind of want like the whole left page and the whole right page. That's how good it is. I'm going to make something here called a daube of beef. Real simple. Daube is named after the pot that it was created in. It's like a French version of pot roast, sort of. But they're calling the pot a daubière, and hence daube of beef. It goes way back. They used to use a rump roast and lard it. We're not going to do that. We're going to use chuck. What I like about this dish is it's really simple to make. You need to do one thing. Marinate the meat a day ahead. Or you can even do it 2 days ahead. I kind of like it strongly marinated. Then the cooking is really, really simple. And as we're walking through this, there's several versions of it. If you look it up in various cookbooks, there's a daube where you sear the meat, a daube where you don't sear the meat. Anyway, we're just going to fiddle around and have fun with it. Great winter dish, great dish to prepare ahead, great for leftovers. You can be amazed at how simple this is. We're going to start off with some beef chuck here. This is just, rather than buying stew meat from the supermarket that's cut up already, I prefer to buy these bigger chunks because they always cut the stew too small for me. And I'm just going to seam this stuff out a bit because there's fat in here that I don't really want in the dish. So nice big chunks. Whoosh. In she goes. All right, I've got carrots peeled here. I like to get carrots that are organic if I can, so these are nice organic guys. Nice big pieces of carrots too, because you don't want those carrots falling apart. And I'm going to put in some onion sections just like this. And then I always like a little bit of garlic because, hey, I'm Italian, so. All right, see that? Now that was simple. I'm going to get all this stuff, put it in here, mix it up nicely. And then, this is the easy part. We're just going to get this bottle of wine, a decent red, and it's going to stay just like this for 1 day or 2 days. Easy. Let me wash my hands. All right, it's been 24 hours. Let's see what happened. I actually like to do this. The way I cut this meat big, I rather do this for 48 hours. We don't have all day. Now I'm going to show you what the meat looks like when it's been sitting in the wine, and see, it picked up the wine. Now we're just going to go bump. We're going to dump this thing through a colander. I want the marination to go through, and I want all of the solids to stay here. We're going to let it drain. We're going to dry off the meat with a little towel, sear it, and get the dough moving. But first we got to do this. And if I get any on me, I'm going to get mad, so stand back. Got some oil in there. Woo, that's hot. All right, a little olive oil, a little salt and pepper like we always do. And let's just start laying those bad boys in there, because we have a pan that is telling me it's ready. See, they're not sticking. Nothing's sticking to the pan. Pan was hot. We didn't overload it. and the meat's just walking off of it like nothing. Because once this meat's seared, this meat comes out, the marinade that it was in goes back in the pan by itself. You'll see nothing in the pan. I'll let the marinade go down. I put the meat in, the vegetables in, a little bit of thyme and bay leaf that I tie together, a little sachet it's called, and just to make sure I have enough liquid, I can add some water, probably a little more fresh wine, and it goes in the oven. I'm gonna forget about this for like 3-4 hours, and it's done. Remember the marinade? We didn't forget you. You're gonna go right in here. All right, wine's gone down a bit. We're not gonna go crazy again, and the meat, I'm gonna be careful putting it back in so I don't make big splashes. And the meat's gonna go right into the wine, which it's been marinating in. And you'll recognize these are the same vegetables from the marinade, so no surprise. Bingo, majingo, and I think we're perfect. See the level of the wine? It's just up so the meat's submerged. As this cooks, the meat will begin to sink down a little bit. There's space in here, and these vegetables will go down. So the boil's recovered. It's not gonna cook like this, but it's got good temperature. Lid goes on. Into the oven. We're gonna check this from time to time. You know, every 45 minutes, an hour, just check it to make sure the temperature's right in the oven. So it's not going one way or the other, but I think we're confident with this. So in she goes. And we're gonna forget about it for a while. The perfect accompaniment for a dough. We could do a lot of things. You could have an egg noodle. You could do mashed potatoes or something. I love a dish called pommes dauphinoises gratinées. Sounds complicated, but it isn't. You could call them pommes dauphinoises too. It's potatoes, heavy cream, a little garlic, baked. Goes in the same oven as the dough. So this is why it's beautiful. You make the dough, goes in the oven. You make the potatoes, same oven. Eh? You're gonna love this. First thing we're gonna do is get a little guy here, and we're gonna just coat this with butter so we don't have anything sticking. Now, another thing, there's a little garlic in this recipe, and I can give you 2 hints. If you don't like garlic at all, don't put it in. If you like garlic a little, cut the clove of garlic in half, and before you put the butter down, rub the garlic on the sides of the bowl. In other words, you'll cut the garlic this way, whoops, and you'll rub that against the bowl before you put the butter down, and you'll smell it. The oils from the garlic come out. The flavor, surprisingly, you'll smell it, and that flavor will be in the dish when you're done. But we're just gonna put a little bit in, and this way. See? Finely chopped, very finely chopped. If I need more, I'll put more in. Idaho potato, mandolin. Keep your fingers away from that blade, because you will not be happy. And once I get close to the end of this potato, especially because it's wet, I'm simply gonna stop. All right, now these guys I want to put directly into the heavy cream. I don't want them sitting around. They're gonna go in the cream, and you'll see why in a minute. We want salt in there because salt's good for you. All right, we're gonna lay them in here, and you really do just like I'm doing. You're gonna shingle these guys in one by one by one. And this is important because you want the cream in between them, and you want the starch from the potato is really what's gonna thicken these. Okay, we're gonna go in about a 350 oven and figure this is gonna take somewhere around an hour and change. We'll check it in time. We'll put a little knife in and see if the knife passes in and out clean and if the potatoes feel really tender. All right, in the oven she goes. No lid, no nothing, just like this. What I'm gonna do is the dough is always finished with mushrooms, and the mushrooms aren't cooked with it. Generally, they're sauteed on the side and put on the top at the end. I'm going to get some slab bacon here. I'm just going to cut a couple of strips. I'm not going to use all of this because I have to save some for breakfast. About like this. So when these guys are rendered out, they're going to be nice little crunchy little bites of bacon. These are just some kind of baby bellows. I don't know what they are. It's firm. I like these. They're not terribly expensive. They tend to be in most supermarkets. And I don't want to cut these too small. So really, I'm just quartering them. See the smoke? I always tell you, don't put stuff in cold pans. All right, step back, camera. This is gonna be, woo, I love that sound. See? That's how you know a pan's hot. There's just a little bit of oil in there. You don't even have to, you have to put very, very little. Let's face it, the bacon's gonna render itself. Rendering the bacon means you're rendering the fat out of it. How's the dough doing? I love it. Potatoes are starting, see? Just beginning to start to bubble. And it almost begins to look like custard now to me, too, from the potato starch. That's fine. They're cooking perfectly. Now, for the main event, let's peek at the dough. Oh, baby. Oh, that's a happy sight. All right, folks, we have done this. I don't want to go any further because there is something called carryover cooking. This stuff's going to burn. That's about perfect. In this same pan, as I said, we're going to dump the oil out. I don't need all that fat. All right, fat smoking, pan's hot. We will hear that sound as we get in there. All right, boom, sorry, guy. And just let him sit there. We are just going to shut the pan off and let him finish in there. We're going to put the bacon back in and reserve that for the very end. We're going to finish the dough with this and chopped parsley. Potato update. Oh, yeah. We got them coming along here. Oh, I think we almost have them done, folks. I think we just about have them done. Another couple of minutes. All right. I use this flat leaf parsley. They call it Italian parsley. I just find it much more flavorful than the curly parsley. That's it. And I like them this big because you can taste them rather than just having little tiny specks. When it's in your food like this, and I don't mean eating it by the handful, but sprinkled around like this, I mean, you can pick this up and smell it. It has a wonderful, clean, chlorophyll flavor to it. I mean, parsley is wonderful. It's not out of fashion. Parsley never went out of fashion. This stuff is great, and it's going to fit perfectly on top of the dough, a little bit with the bacon and the mushrooms, which you're going to see in a minute. All right, Holmes. We're going to do a potato check here. I think we're probably ready. It's been about, I'd say we're pushing an hour. Oh, yeah. Knife passes right through. Everything's soft. You can see we've got a little custard on the side. I threw these things in here about 15, 20 minutes ago just to keep them warm and bring them back to temperature. So once we plate this food, we can have the potatoes hot, the garnish hot, the dough's on top of the stove, everything's hot, easy to go. Let's plate it up. Let's see if I can't get something out of here. This won't be the easiest thing in the world, folks. But, aha! Boy, does that look good or what? Huh? Come on, don't break apart on me. And you can see the custard. I mean, if you look in here, too, the heavy cream just makes a custard. It's not too wet. You can smell the garlic. The flavor's in there. It's going to be very rich. And we're going to spoon the dough up. I'm going to mix the parsley in with the garnish. You'll see this in a minute. So you're not just eating raw parsley. Come here with the dough. Hey, this is hot. Okay. And let's get this dough out of here. Oh, yeah. Just big old, I mean, you can still see the wine, the marination on this meat. And we're just going to get some of this garnish, and again, you do this with a spoon or any way you want. And just on the top, huh? Like this. It looks good, huh? Now that's good eating. And how hard was that? Again, the dough, the main trick with the dough is it's a marinade. And the beauty of this, and a lot of the beauty of the old-style cuisine is you're using really inexpensive cuts. I mean, that's what the chef's job used to be, was, you know, any idiot can go out and spend tons of money on the best of this and that and try and make a good job of it. But, you know, the old restaurateurs, guys like Jacques Rachou, you know, they made everything something wonderful. Every cut was utilized. And this dough was a rump steak originally, which you would lard with fat. Or here we can use a piece of chuck, which is what? You know, $3, $4 a pound, inexpensive, marinate it in red wine. And then what you're doing is getting these really almost peasant-like ingredients, these real commonplace ingredients, and just lifting them up. Potato, heavy cream, the dough. Hey, who would complain about that? Okay, so look, if you can't get a dinner reservation tonight at Le Côte Basque, you can't make it, you should try. If you can't get to Côte Basque tonight, you can make this at home. This is really simple. Easy to do, recipes on the website, no problem. Cook more at home, be comfortable, play around with this, you know, experiment with the recipes. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Oui, chef.